Good morning, guys. Good morning. Welcome down to another episode of Fun, Fit, and Healthy. This is our talk show segment of the show. Today we're talking about a very interesting topic. I think everybody struggles with this particular thing, and we want to make sure you add some clarity to you guys and help you guys to be a bit more knowledgeable about some of the things that may be contributing to our topic today, which is your belly fat. Everybody struggles with belly fat. I myself struggle with belly fat. I got a little pouch at the bottom there because you're getting older. But the battle with the bulge is always a big problem. Belly fat, and why is it so hard to lose, right? And I'm going to go through some basic, explaining what fat is and the function of fat, and we're going to probably give you some information as to the reasons why you may be experiencing difficulty with losing your belly fat, right? Now, in its form, fat is not a bad thing, right? As always, we say we need our three main macronutrients to survive, which are fats, carbohydrates, and proteins, and they all have specific functions within our bodies, right? And fat is very much important when it comes to your body's functioning and overall well-being, right? So fat is not a bad thing. Fat in itself, well, when we talk about fat in your body, it's what's called adipose tissue, right? Your adiposity. And adiposity is basically the connective fatty tissue distributed throughout your body. And your body basically stores fat two ways, right? You store fat subcutaneously, which is the fat under your skin. You get a cut, they say cut down to the white meat. That's the fat under your skin, right? And then you store fat viscerally, which is interconnected into your muscular structure and concentrated within certain other parts, certain large organs. Now, belly fat is mainly stored in an area in your tummy called the omentum, right? Omentum. Sounds like momentum, but it's omentum, right? Now, the omentum is a is probably the largest composition of adipose tissue within the human body, and that goes and it stores right primarily within that midsection area, creates that little density around your midsection. So everybody has abs. There's not a human being on the planet that doesn't have abs. But those abs get covered over with your omentum. It's a huge deposit of visceral adipose tissue, right? Now, fat in itself is not a problem. And with adipose tissue, the function of adipose tissue, I use the word adipose tissue because I want you guys to get familiar with that terminology. Adiposity, adipose tissue, ADIPOSE, right? But adipose tissue, its function is it's your caloric reservoir in your body, more or less, because every day you consume food, and whatever food you consume and you don't burn off those calories, your body now converts it and then it stores it for later in what is called your caloric reservoir, right? So your stomach fat is basically a collection of energy that your body hasn't actually utilized through your regular activity or whatever activity you've been doing. Now, with stomach fat, it is extremely difficult. There are a myriad of reasons why your stomach fat is hard to go away. And some of the primary reasons are, poor diet, inactivity, stress, and a lot of the times genetics, right? For women in particular, there are issues that it's difficult to lose stomach fat because some women suffer from a thing called diastasis recti. If you ever looked at the women in particular tend to have more caloric needs than men. Women need fat more than men. In addition to being an energy source, fat also helps to regulate your hormones, right? So because women have more hormonal functions than men, well, not more, but women have different types of hormones functions within their bodies, they tend to retain more body fat. To make that a bit clearer, if you look at a woman, let's say for instance my body fat percentage typically stays around 12 at most 40 percent body fat. If you look at me, at how I look, my current physique with 40% body fat at maximum. If you look at a woman at 40% body fat, she looks extremely emaciated and very, very gangly. You can click, get it. We have an information age. Get on the internet, go click, and Google man at 14% body fat versus woman at 14% body fat, and you can see how emaciated a woman may look at 14% body fat comparatively to a man at a similar percentage of body fat. They don't look well. So fat is a very, very important macronutrient that you need, right? But for one or more reasons, I mentioned diastasis recti in women, poor diet, inactivity, stress, and genetics all play a role in how your body stores fat and how your body stores fat primarily in your midsection area. Right? Now, these activities, these things, these reasons, these factors that I listed before, all can be regulated in your body, and you can make changes to your diet. You can make changes to your level of inactivity. You can make changes. Well, I'll try to help manage your stress levels. And you can't really change your genetics, but then you can force reactions in your body that can force your stomach fat to go away, right? Now you always hear of this saying touted as abs are created in the kitchen, and that is extremely valid piece of information, because primarily in order for you to show abs and to have that V taper, you have to really and truly manage your caloric intake and reduce your caloric reservoir in your body, right? So your stomach fat is primarily tied to your diet. Most persons believe coming to the gym, most persons exercising, probably just focus on our Wednesday edition where you just do abs and believe that you will lose stomach fat by working abs all the time. That's not true. That is categorically false. You will work your abs, you develop your abs under that layer of your momentum. And I to give an example, I trained a guy years ago, and he didn't want to change his diet. He wanted to continue to eat the same way, and that's fine. And he would do a lot of abs. What started to happen with him? His stomach actually protruded further because he's developing the abs on there, and it's in a caloric surplus, and the belly just started to protrude further and more pronounced, and that's because he wasn't focusing on reducing his caloric reservoir, right? And this is an important factor you need to be mindful of when you are thinking about stomach fat and why you're not losing it. You're not losing your stomach fat because you're not putting yourself in enough of a deficit to facilitate reducing the caloric reservoir. That's from the dietary side, right? That is one of the factors, right? You're not eating clean long enough for you to see the dividends from your reduction in your calories, right? So your stomach fat remains pretty set because you're not reducing, you're not doing enough to reduce it. Now, it takes time. As always, any trainer would always work to solve will always tell you that it's a process. You must be able to trust the process when you are starting anything fitness related. It takes some time, right? It takes some time. So your stomach fat might be directly staying because you're not putting yourself in enough of a caloric deficit long enough, an extended period of time, before your body has a chance to actually respond and start shedding the weight in your belly. What also you have to be mindful of is that depending on the type of person, depending on your genetics, you have a particular distribution of receptors in your body that facilitate weight loss and weight gain. Now, with these factors, you have to be mindful of where you're losing. I'm mindful. Some of us, because of our genetic predisposition, we have a difficulty losing stomach fat fast enough. Me in particular, I have a similar issue where when I begin to lose weight, I lose most of the weight in my face. I lose most of my weight in the subcutaneous areas of my body. as opposed to the visceral parts of my body. But eventually, over time, from dieting and following and having activity, you begin to see the other parts of your bodies become activated, and you begin to lose weight in those areas, right? So it's important that we are aware of that. And again, as always we tout on the show, you must always have a planned approach towards your fitness endeavors, right? So we'll talk a little bit about stress, right? Now, if you look, there's a particular way in which stress affects the body. Now, stress releases a hormone called cortisol, right? Now, cortisol is a hormone triggered by your stress levels, and cortisol literally diminishes your diminishes your muscle, and actually creates tremendous fatigue in your body, and creates appetite, stimulates your appetite and all the different kind of things because of your stress. So stress is a factor that you always want to be mitigating in your life. The concept of stress management always freaks me out. I would prefer stress eradication, because typically when you hear the term manage, you manage things that you want to keep. And if you couple the terminology stress and management, it's like you want to keep it, you're managing it, right? So I prefer the terminology, and it's all semantics, but I prefer the terminology stress eradication, because you're trying to get rid of stress. Stress is something that really, really impedes anybody's fitness plan. It's the mind, the body, and the soul needs to be in unison when you're attempting to shift your life or move your life in any particular direction, in a positive direction, that is. So you have to really be able to mitigate the stress factors in your life, because it directly impacts your stomach fat, right? One other thing I didn't mention when we were talking about genetics is some people suffer from a thing called hypothyroidism. Right? There's hyperthyroidism, and then there's hypothyroidism. Now, these are things that you can test for and figure out whether or not you are a sufferer of that particular genetic predisposition. Now, hypothyroidism afflicts a lot of people. There are many people that suffer from it, and they cannot help themselves with putting on weight in their arms and their stomach areas because of their particular genetics. Now, having hypothyroidism doesn't necessarily mean that you are incapable of losing weight. It doesn't mean that. It just means that your journey has become a little bit more complex, a little bit more hard because of your particular genetic issue, right? It is something that, and I've trained persons that do suffer from hypothyroidism, and it's really, really difficult. It's very, very stressful. It's very, very stressful on that person, and that person will always have to struggle with weight gain because hypothyroidism really slows your metabolism to the point almost a dead stop. So you're not necessarily having a very healthy exchange of caloric absorption and caloric expenditure, and that kind of really, really affect your ability to lose weight. So you must be mindful of that. And again, there are tests that you can do to figure out definitively whether or not you have a hypoactive or a hyperactive thyroid, and that kind of contributes to stomach fat and issues regarding stomach fat, right? It truly is a very, 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 very difficult process when you're trying to shift and lose stomach fat. Most of us want, I can tell you from being in a gym and training people all the time, especially for women, it's weird. Like if you interview women at the gym, all of them want a flat stomach, and all of them want a big butt. Typically that's what most women come to the gym for: flat stomach, big butts. And the stomach fat part is really, really stressful, especially if you've had kids and all that kind of stuff, and it really bogs you down. And women who suffer from diastasis recti tend to really have it harder because that little bottom part of your belly, you can diet, you can lose your top, you get, but that little fupa, as it's called, a little love pouch, kind of tends to stay with you. But it can go away. but it just takes a lot of hard work to achieve that. And because it's such a hard process, a lot of people get frustrated by it, and triggers the other factor that causes you to retain a lot of belly fat, which is stress. So my advice and what I implore you all that are trying to lose weight and get in shape, it is not the easiest thing to do, but it's well worth it. And again, your emphasis should be focused on feeling good, and the looking good part can come. I mean, it sounds a bit facetious, it sounds a bit, disingenuous when you say things like, "Oh, focus on feeling good and not looking good." But I personally would recommend, based on my own personal experiences and based on the advice that I dispense, always when in regard to health and fitness, is that you focus on feeling good. Once you start to feel good, you will definitely start to see more results, because your body goes into a state of homeostasis, and you're able to really achieve your fitness goals. Again, fat adds to your body's ability to have homeostasis. So fat is not really and truly your enemy. You put on fat because you are absorbing too much calories. You're consuming more than enough calories, and your body's absorption rate is causing you to absorb and store more calories. Again, all these things, if you have a planned approach, you'll be able to successfully mitigate all of it. Right? This is not rocket science. This is not anything too complex. The hardest part in your fitness journey will always be the start and having the discipline to maintain the necessary practices to facilitate your goal. You understand? And again, I don't want to seem disingenuous or facetious at all, but when you really focus on extracting the feeling out of exercise, the feeling, that good feeling. Like last night at the gym, I trained a client. She typically has up and down participation at the gym, but when she can get it, she gets it in. And she's a mom of 2. And when we started training her, she saw phenomenal results. She was one of our biggest losers at the gym, and she fell off a bit owing to life and all these other factors, and she put back on the weight. But then she's back in the gym and she started to work, and she's starting to see the results. And last night after training, she did legs last night, and after the exercise, she's like, "I feel great. My body's starting to tingle. I'm starting to feel really good about getting back into the gym and being back in the gym." In addition to that, her plan was to make sure she's in the gym so she can combat the Christmas season, because we are in the Christmas season, and it's food and going, and probably not gonna eat the most healthy things. You're gonna be out partying, you're gonna be out drinking, you're gonna be doing a whole bunch of different things, and your body's gonna feel the squeeze. There's always a New Year resolution. As always, I was starting the gym. I've already seen an influx in people calling me to find out when they can start my gym. So that is definitely something that always happens at this time of the year. You always will find that you will put on a bunch of weight at this time of the year. And again, all these things can be combated by having a planned approach. I never tell people, unrealistic things when it comes to your fitness pursuits. Now, you have people that have various levels of fitness. Trainers, in particular myself and other trainers in Guyana, we're a bit more active and competitive when it comes to health and fitness, and driven by different things. So it might seem a bit easier for some of us, but it's not. It does have a degree of difficulty. However, for you at home who have not necessarily lived the lifestyle that is required to maintain a particular body type. It's understandable that these things become laborious and they become very difficult for you to maintain. It's understandable. So what you need to understand always, and again, I can't emphasize enough, focus on feeling good. If you put that in front and make that your main goal, the feeling good, I can guarantee you that the body will fall in line once you stay committed to it. Because if you develop the right habits towards, the right approach towards this process, then you will notice the results a lot faster. Well, not a lot faster. You'll be appreciative of the results as they come, and you begin to trust the process. I was looking at the Gear Diary and Freddie Kisumu show recently. We had one of the prominent trainers in Ghana, Mr. Paul Musa, on, and in his closing remarks, he kind of echoed a lot of what we've been saying on the show, which is that it is important to trust the process. And again, any trainer will tell you this, any trainer worth their salt will tell you that trusting the process is most important. It took time. It took time for your adiposity to grow and this belly to bulge. It took some time. You understand? It will take some time to take it off. And especially in the time it took for you to put it on, there are certain factors that might have changed in your life. Other variables might have been added that contribute to you not having the most time available to doing these things, and maybe your financial situation might have changed. You might not be able to eat a certain way and all that stuff. But realistically, you have to take stock of your life, and you have to be able to look and examine what is going on currently, and then you make the adjustments and make the plan that is best suited for your particular, or best suited for you to maintain consistency and have discipline. Understand? Again, we as trainers, we always try to recommend eating a particular way, because everything is tied primarily to your diet. Diet is very, very important. There's certain things that happen with health and fitness. People have a bunch of misconceptions, about how to go about doing these things. Well, not necessarily misconceptions. Let me backpedal a bit. You don't have a misconception. You have different schools of thought when it comes to how to get around achieving your ideal body type. But there are certain things that work. There are certain things that will always work, and if you stick to them, they will produce a particular result. Right? And that is true for many, many aspects of human life, human endeavors. If a particular thing works, if you do it a particular way, you produce a particular result. Seldom it deviates, right? And if it deviates, it means there's something going on that's making the result to change, the end product to change. So we as thinking and sentient beings, and people that are aware, and people that have access to so much information nowadays, we don't have an excuse really, other than our own mindsets that can dictate and manipulate our ability to achieve our fitness goals. And again, having the ability and the discipline to apply yourself to your own well-being can definitely spill over into other aspects of your life and promote general overall well-being. You will always hear me say on the show, it's important. My tagline for closing the show is always to take care of yourself. If you're not taking care of yourself, then you're not extracting the most benefit the world has to offer you. So that is always going to be a central theme, a central message on the show. It's to take care of yourself. You understand? And if you keep tuning in, keep doing the workouts, keep listening to the advice, from myself and the fitness professionals that we'll be having on the show, then definitely you'll be able to achieve a lot of results from your endeavors. Now, with that said, I want to emphasize again, fat is not bad. It's not a bad thing, but you are gaining weight because you are consuming more calories than you need, and your body is storing it in your caloric reservoir, which is in your subcutaneous, under the skin, and your visceral interconnected into your muscular structure, and the body stores fat then that way. And now there are other factors that contribute to this occurrence. Is, you have to be able to mitigate your stress. You have to be able to have some degree of physical activity that exceeds your basal amount. You have to be mindful of your genetic predispositions and some of the congenital illnesses that you may have that are contributing to your bulge. Again, even though you may have a particular genetic predisposition, it does not absolve you from your ability to have a plan and change your outcome, right? And it's something that we all need to be paying attention. We all should be mindful of at all times when you're trying to get in shape. I want to also emphasize to people that there's no such thing as the perfect body. It is a myth, and it's a very, very subjective thing. Me being a former bodybuilder and competitor in bodybuilding, and administrator of bodybuilding in Guyana, I have a particular bird's eye view of how subjective the ideal body is. It's a very, very subjective thing, because everybody, as human beings, we all have preferences. We all have slants and biases. So when you look at these shows, you as an audience member would go to a show, and I did promise you yesterday we're gonna have the president of the Bodybuilding Fitness Federation and some athletes in. That's gonna happen on Thursday. I will apologize for that, for not having them on the show today. So we're gonna have them on Thursday for sure. I can give you that assurance. But again, to my original point, you as an audience member would come to a show, and you sit there and you're looking at the stage and you're seeing these people that have worked very, very hard, dieted, they've trained, they've done the necessary requirements to be a top tier athlete, competitive bodybuilding athlete, and you're looking at them and you're in your mind, you're like, their bodies are perfect. And then you look at the judge's scorecard, and the judge has an issue with this particular body part, that particular body part. It's very, very subjective. It's all very, very subjective. And if you get too caught up in the subjectivity of how a body looks, then you're never going to really extract the most benefit out of this exercise and this healthy lifestyle. It's about you. It's about you. It's about finding your happiness from taking care of yourself. You understand? That's self-care. If you, as the viewing public, if you're not a competitive athlete, if you're just a regular person, there's not expectation of you to look a certain way, or run a certain way, or jump. None of that is really factoring into your life. Then the goal is to feel good. When you do this, when you participate in the exercises, when you change the way you eat, when you focus on making healthy choices, focus on bringing that positivity into your life, these are the things that are going to be the highest yield for you in your life. If you have the right approach, you're gonna yield benefit. You understand? But first, again, you have to have the right mindset. You can't have this thing that I need to look a certain way. You understand? Again, this is going to be my facetious statement on the show. There are ways that you can get this so-called ideal body. If you want, you can message me later. I know a good surgeon in Dominican Republic. I can give you a referral. But that in itself comes with its own issues. You understand? Because even if you go and you let them poke and prod you and suck all the fat out and then put it in a particular body part, and then you look a certain way, you still have to come back, and you still have to have a particular lifestyle change to maintain that pain you would put your body through to look a certain way. And if you don't do those things, what do you think happens? Your body reverts to what it knows. It reverts to that status that you reverts to that physique that it's accustomed to, and because you didn't put in the work. So again, my advice in a nutshell is to be mindful of your diet, be mindful of your levels of activity, make sure you have some. Try to eradicate stress and be mindful of whatever particular congenital illness you may have that is impacting your success with your belly fat. Alright, so again, I want to remind you that on Thursday we're going to have the president and some athletes on board that they're going to tell you about their particular journeys, their individual journeys. This bodybuilding show coming up on December 18th should be a really, really good one. This Guyana's top elite bodybuilders are going to be featured on stage. He likes Emerson Campbell, Darius Ramsamy, Albert. These guys are the top guys that are I think Hannah Ramsamy. Hannah Ramprasad. I think she may be competing also on stage. A very, very good young competitor, bikini athlete. Very, very good. Guyana's Best are going to be featured on December 18th at the Cultural Center. I believe tickets are on sale. You can get them at the box office. Again, anybody who's interested in donating and sponsoring to the bodybuilding fraternity can do so by making contact with the federation, or you can send a message to Fun Fit and Healthy or myself, and we can get those sponsorship revenues to the right hands so they can do and continue to boost bodybuilding in Guyana. So to close, again, I don't want to keep it too long. It's always a pleasure being with you guys and having these conversations around health and fitness. Eventually, when our viewership goes up, we want to have a more interactive call-in segment where persons viewing the show can call in and we can field some of your questions directly. We intend to have more personalities on the fitness industry in Guyana, to continue to keep dispensing helpful, useful, valid, and credible information to you, the viewing public. So that's what we are about on this show, giving you things that you can actually extract some degree of benefit from. So once again, I'm your host, Coral, your resident trainer here at Fun, Fit, and Healthy, where we always encourage you to stay positive, and we always encourage you to take care of yourselves so you can take care of others. So thank you for joining us on the TBN Daybreak News Network, and it's always a pleasure joining you wherever you're tuning in from. And you do continue to have a wonderful day. If your day started poorly, we hope that trajectory changes and you're able to have a much more pleasant rest of the day and rest of the week. Tomorrow is our core day, so tune in. You're going to have a really, again, we continue with a very light week, again, because everybody is busy and doing their more focuses on Christmas and getting a little Christmas money, a little fine change for going buy a little blinds and toys for your kids and all that la-di-da-di. So thank you for joining us again on the TBN network, and I'm Coral signing out. Take care and take care of each other.